Cable management takes your setup from this to this. So in this video, I'm revealing the 8 products that allows my setup to stay clean and functional. And honestly, without cable management, your gaming setup will suck. But luckily, here's how to fix that. So let's get into the first product and the first step to cable managing your setup. It may sound crazy, but the first step is actually plugging everything in and testing it, just so you have everything in order and you know the flow of how your setup's gonna work. Now that you know everything works, the first item is a cable raceway. Now, this one by Vivo is by far my favorite. Once you get it, all you need to do is space it underneath the desk where you know the cables are gonna be behind it and are gonna run through it. Now, you can 3M them to the bottom of the desk, but it does leave a bunch of residue if you try to pull it off later on. So usually I just recommend to just smoke a hole and drill them up there because it's easier to do that than to deal with all the residue from a 3M tape. Make sure you don't put the raceway all the way against the back of the desk. You want to make sure that you have a little bit of room to be able to mount power strips and stuff like that later in this video. Now that you've got your raceways underneath your desk, let's move on to the next product. The next product is a power strip. In this case, you only really need something that powers everything in this setup really easily. I also have a bunch of them linked on my Amazon store if you want to take a look or need one. Once you have this ready, basically you want to find a sweet spot where you can plug it into the wall and also mount it underneath the bottom of your desk. That way, once you have your power strip mounted underneath the bottom of the desk, you can just route your cables right into it and hide it behind the raceways. You can mount it 2 different ways, one with 3M that will leave the residue, or 2 with screws that will leave less residue but will be a little bit more permanent. So it's your choice. Now that you have both the power strip and the raceways in front of the power strip, what you want to do is put all the cables and just tuck them into the raceways and plug all your power into this power strip. Once you do that, it should somewhat look like this. And honestly, if you really wanted to, you could stop here, but we're gonna get you the best cable management, so you want to watch the rest of the video to get all the tips. We're already 2 products into this video and your setup should be looking a lot better, but if you want your setup to look even better than that, you should honestly just get a better looking mouse pad for your setup. And right now is the best time to do it. We're doing 20% off of all of our 36 by 18 and 48 by 24 mouse pads, and this is as cheap as they're gonna get for a long time. Honestly, not to glaze myself, but these mouse pads are as good as they get, and I've been putting a lot of work into them. So click the first link in the description and check them out today. And now it's time to go to the 4th product, cable management clips. My favorite are these ones. On one side, they have 3M on the back where you peel it off and you can stick it to the bottom of the desk and wrap up extra cables that are maybe 1 or 2 cables you have off to the side. They're easy just to clean up with these. On these smaller versions of these clips, you can actually make a pulley system for your headset where you put the rest of the cable underneath and you can pull it in and out and let it slide when you need it and when you don't need it. It should look like this once you set it up. They also have some versions of this cable clip that you can get that are wider, that you can put the rest of the cables either on the left or right side when it's going behind the Alex drawer or wherever you have it going to. You can slightly just clamp these in a corner and make it a little bit tighter so the cables don't look like they're drooping down. It adds that extra little sauce, you know what I'm saying? Which brings me to my 5th product of this video, Velcro ties. You can buy a pack of these for 10 bucks on Amazon or even at a store for like 4 or 5 depending on where you get them. And this is probably the best and easiest way to tidy up cables really fast. You basically want to go around your setup and look for little cables that you can bunch together and tighten with Velcro. People used to use zip ties for these, but they're way too permanent for your setup in case you want to move something around, and that's what Velcro fixes. In my case, I actually had a camera stand that had cables behind it, and I wanted to tighten up the cables so it was hidden on the back side of the pole, and Velcro straps are perfect for this. So you can see how it kind of turned out here. Also, something to note about the last 2 products is you should go around your setup and try to find any cables that are loose or seeming like they're out of place and they're visible that you want to hide, and use these Velcro straps and also the Velcro ties and the 3M clips and hide them to the best of your ability. Which brings me to my next product, which is product number 6, cable raceways on the wall this time. If you have a monitor or something that's wall mounted, you can do this in 2 different ways. Some cable management things have it where you can cut out a space in your wall and run the cables through the wall, but that's like the most extreme case and I don't recommend it. It leaves a lot of patchwork if you need to leave somewhere or if you're renting a place, it's not really that useful. But if you own a house like me, you can do that and it makes it look the absolute best. Since most of you guys probably don't have that, this is the next best thing, cable raceways for the wall. Now I have a pack of them that I recommend, and they actually just 3M to the wall, or you can nail gun them if you feel more confident with that. But these are actually to hide your wires from your monitors coming down on your wall, down below the desk. And you want to cut these perfectly at the right dimensions so that you can hide the cables perfectly. So ask your dad or someone who's handy to draw a line for you, and then you have to cut it with a handsaw or a Dremel or something like that that can cut pretty easily. Once you have it cut and have the right dimensions, basically you're going to stick it onto the wall with a 3M, run the cables down it, and bam, all your cables are officially gone underneath the desk and to your your monitors too. This is a before and this is what it looks like after if you do it correctly. And on my setup now, I actually just ran them through the wall, which is like the craziest way of doing it. And this is what it looked like before and after on my new setup as well. Also, another quick tip with this, if you use Velcro straps on the cables before you put them in the Raceway, it'll help you out just a little bit more, making it look a little organized. Moving on to the 7th product, which is one of my favorites actually, and it's a magnetic cable holder. I thought I wasn't going to need this until I actually used it for the first time, and I'm telling you, it's worth it. So let me explain how it works. In my case, I actually use it to charge different things and be able to pull the cable out quickly. So what you do is you actually mount it on the back side of your desk facing the wall and run a cable through it. And since it's magnetic, it can open and close pretty easily. So if you want to charge something, all you do is drop it and it will hold the port right above the desk for you. So if you need to charge anything, you can grab it and pull it there, and it's actually super simple. I do this with my keyboard, my mouse, and then I also use it to charge various things with USB Type-C. This has been the best thing that I've ever done, and I'm considering adding a few more with like an iPhone charger and things like that for my different things I need to charge. It's super easy to set up. All you have to do is peel the back off of it, stick it onto the back of the desk, run a cable through it, and make sure there's a little bit more slack, so if you pull it, it won't rip it off. And honestly, I recommend putting your most important things like your mouse cable to charge your mouse if it's wireless, maybe your keyboard if it's wireless as well, and maybe your phone charger because you're going to be sitting at your desk anyway. They're also very budget friendly as well, which is very good. Now moving on to the last and final product, which I think is one of the most important: long enough cables. It's very important that you have long enough cables that will reach from one side of your setup to the other, especially when you're cable managing it, because you got to put it in raceways and underneath the desk and moving different spots, and it might actually be not long enough. It's actually better to go longer in cables and have excess than it is to be too short and be SOL. So you might as well just get longer cables and then work with it as you go. In my case, I actually have 25-foot cables because of how far away my PCs are. I made sure to future-proof them as well, because in a setup like mine where you're running cables through the wall, you don't want to have to run more cables through the wall because that is a pain in the... Just make sure that you're getting long enough cables and they're good quality cables. You don't want to have to uncable manage them all. And also, here's number 9, a bonus product: cable labels. Cable labels are the most important thing, especially if you have a lot of cables in your setup and you don't know which cable is which. This is a great way to label them. It's just like a little sticker that goes on the cable itself on the PC side, and it allows you to label what thing goes where and where it comes from. You can label these off of color or write them with a Sharpie or even a label maker. To do this for free without having to buy like a $6 pack, you can do this with just painter's tape. Just wrap one side and then write a name on it with Sharpie, and that works just fine too. Honestly, cable management isn't that hard, especially with all the products I linked, and I hope this helped you out. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe as we're getting closer to 100K. And let me know what video and tips you guys need with your setups down below, and I'll try to make some new videos. Peace.